G'day there once again, viewers. This is your mate Kamikaze78 here, and guys, we've got a lot to catch up on in the world of Planetside. I tell you, trust shit to go crazy while I'm away at PAX Oz, which, by the way, if you've not checked out the vlogs for that yet, links in the description down below as per always. So, anyway, today guys, let's go over what happened for Planetside, what that means for the game, both now and in the future, and what it means for me as a content creator, because as a content creator for this game primarily, it's something that is going to affect me naturally. That is something that also needs to be addressed. So guys, around a week ago, Daybreak Games announced that layoffs were taking place for the Planetside franchise, with the Planetside 2 dev team in particular taking a massive hit, with reports of there being only 2 of the developers from that team left in the office right now. Now, I was at PAX when this news hit, so I couldn't really stay on top of it as much as I would have liked to, but it's safe to say that a lot of emotion was present in the Planetside community once the news actually hit. And firstly, before we go any further, I just want to take a moment to wish the developers that were laid off the absolute best. I hope that they do find another gig in the industry if that is the route that they wish to take, and I really want to send out a massive thank you to the developers for contributing your time and your skills to the Planetside franchise, and for keeping it going as old as it is. You have my thanks, guys. But yeah, huge layoffs occurred across both teams, and things for the Planetside franchise, particularly Planetside 2, were not looking that great. The community was calling for the franchise to be sold off to a more lucrative and major studio that could take the reins and bring Planetside 2 back into the forefront, and there was also just a general fear that the game's long-term lifespan was about to be cut completely short. Considering that word had gotten out that most, if not all, of the programmers were removed from the team, this was starting to be considered the end of our long-loved game, and I was even starting to consider cancelling my subscription, knowing that no matter how much money I threw at the game, which has been accumulating to a metric fuck ton over the years, things were going to remain pretty stagnant no matter how much money any of us threw at the game. And a lot of emotion was directed quite confidently at the existence of Planetside Arena, and how much dev resources were thrown at a game that has unfortunately been deemed dead on arrival. And as much as I was an advocate for the potential that Planetside Arena had at launch, there have been some serious missteps that have certainly put the game in a position that could have been avoided, and player counts are at an all-time low. Let's be honest here. Planetside Arena has always had a shoddy release plan in my opinion, and while I still stand by my original stance that the game was fun to play and it took the Battle Royale dynamic and made it something of its own, the game still needed the support of the original Planetside community to get off the ground and into the eyes of the wider gaming community to establish it. Considering that the support just didn't come in the first place and the game was trying to compete in a heavily contested market already, the game just simply didn't make an impact, and thus the developers are now required to play a little bit more of a catch-up than I'm sure that they were hoping for. Do I think that the review bombing of the game on Steam had an element of contribution to that? Maybe, but at the same time, the game definitely didn't release in a way in which I would consider to be a healthy release. So yeah, 9 days ago, Planetside was thrown into a realm of complete and total uncertainty. Did Planetside Arena kill Planetside 2? Would Planetside 2 recover from the layoffs? Would the game see any further updates at all? We really didn't know until about 3 days ago. 3 days ago, the executive producer of now both games, Andy Seitz, took to the web to bring us the producer's letter on the state of the franchise as a whole. And there is some interesting stuff in here, some promising stuff. Right off the bat, Andy makes it very clear that Planetside 2 has not been thrown to the sharks in the light of recent layoffs. Now that Planetside Arena has made it into early access and that they're in a state now of adding new content to the game instead of actually, well, building the game, they are sending some key reinforcements to the Planetside 2 team in the form of programmers, designers, and artists, and apparently some of the devs that are making the transition are familiar faces that we have all known to have worked on the game over the years. And as a closing statement on this section, Andy seems to mention the fact that the team is passionate about Planetside as a whole, and one word that I really want to draw attention to here is team. Not teams, it is team, singular. In light of these layoffs, it might now be a case of the development team, if you will, working on the Planetside franchise as a whole. Obviously, some developers will be working on new content for Planetside 2, and others will be focusing on Arena. But this could mean that we could see a lot more cross-project collaboration, if you will, between the two projects. And if anything, that will actually help out both games tremendously. It will allow for assets from Planetside Arena, which by the way look really cool, to come over to Planetside 2 like some of them already have. And it will just help to integrate things like the player studio into Planetside Arena, and it could make for a much more seamless project on both ends. Now this is also backed up by Andy going into detail about the team and what they're currently working on for Planetside Arena. As of right now, they're currently working on a new non-BR mode that incorporates a lot of the gameplay elements that makes Planetside, well, Planetside, but in more of a shorter, match-based arena style of mode. The mode will include a new specifically built map, capture points, ability to drop in and out for games alongside a broader range of vehicles. He also specifically mentioned that this mode is going to be a stepping stone towards the massive Clash game mode. He also took the time to address the ongoing criticism for the game being dead on arrival with little to no advertising, stating that the team wants to go back to the roots of the early access program, being designed for a developer to cultivate the opinions of the most dedicated fans who knew and understood that they were getting themselves into an unfinished product to try and test it. Now, I personally, when the early access program is used this way, assuming that the developers, see the project through, 100% agree with this course of action. Yes, Planetside Arena is unique, but it does need a lot of work ahead of it to fully realize its potential and bring it to a state where advertising would actually be effective. If you advertise for the game right now and expect players to jump in and enjoy it, they're not going to. This is an early access title that is actually being used as an early access title. It is a long-standing beta where developers are putting the project out to the most dedicated fans so that they can test it and slowly work on it to build it into something that is actually going to be marketable in the long run. The early access phase in its current form needs to lay low until the game is at a point where showing it off will actually net something in return. Another point that Andy hit on the head was, why not just make a Planetside 3? And mainly, it's because that when the developers are thinking of Planetside 3, they are envisioning, and I quote here, full-fledged galactic war with empires exploring, colonizing, and conquering planets in a massive galaxy. Now, don't get me wrong, the thought of a Planetside game like this just gives me goosebumps all over. But by the same token, the words Star Citizen and its ridiculously ambitious nature spring straight to mind as well, and the fact that that game has made, what, $250 million now and still there's no game to account for it? Yeah, I don't know where I stand on that. But Andy makes it clear that in order for Planetside 3 to meet expectations, that they need to get it right and make it worth the wait. And in order to test out concepts, they are using Arena as a way to link present-day Planetside 2 and potential Planetside 3 storylines together, all the while using Arena as a cleaner way to test out new mechanics and potential gameplay focuses. He made it very clear that the Planetside 2 experience is one that people hold close and dear to them, so they don't want to tamper with that experience too much on an experimental outlook. So, if anything guys, I've been left with a little bit more hope for what is coming for the franchise in the coming year or so. We have been through plenty of layoffs for the Planetside franchise in the past, and the game still exists and gets updated to this date, so I don't think we need to sound the alarm bells just yet. I was a little spooked at first when I heard the news, but at the same time, I just think things aren't as much in a dire state as what we first thought based on the article. Andy is now producing both titles, and we may very well see a lot of collaboration between the two teams now to create an experience in both games that helps to bring the franchise to more people, no matter what their gameplay preferences are, and maybe the collaboration between these two teams will end up producing Planetside 3. But anyway, where does that leave me as a content creator amongst all this? I will say guys that when the news initially hit, I was greatly starting to consider some plans as to how my channel could evolve. Now, I'm not going to lie guys, I've been producing Planetside 2 content mainly for as long as this channel has existed essentially, and I've loved every single minute of it. This game has given me the community I have today, and it's also allowed for me to grow as a content creator to where I am today, and I cannot thank it enough. But by the same token guys, Planetside 2 has definitely hit a cap in its population right now, which means I've hit a cap in my reach and in my ability to grow as a content creator. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not me saying that I'm leaving Planetside 2. I will continue to make Planetside 2 content until I get bored of it, which is not going to happen for a while, or until the game dies. But by the same token, I feel as though I'm now at a state in my content creation career, if you will, where I'm going to start exploring new avenues. And I will say, guys, that I use the word career there very deliberately. At the end of the day, I would love for this to turn into a career. I would love to be able to do this full time. But right now, that is just nowhere near possible. And Planetside 2, in part of that, is kind of responsible. The game just simply doesn't have the reach, and I'm always going to keep covering it, as I said before, because I love it. But I feel as though I need to start taking steps to further expand my possibilities. So with that, guys, in conjunction with the Planetside 2 content you all know and love, you're going to see me explore some new games. I know this is going to sound cringy to a lot of you, but I'm actually really keen on the new Call of Duty. Don't at me. But either way, guys, you're going to see some more content from more titles as I see fit. Now, in saying that, I do finish university in 3 weeks, which means that the frequency of Planetside content isn't exactly going to drop. You're just going to see some other content on the side as well. Maybe you'll see a little bit more from another game a week, but, you know, we'll see how things go. I am actually looking at drafting up a schedule and a channel redesign, but this is all going to come once university wraps up, guys, and I'm really excited to turn a new page, if you will, for the channel in some regards, all the while sticking to my roots. Anyway, guys, we went on a bit of a tangent there. It was relevant to the topic, I think, at the end of the day. Either way, guys, if you enjoyed today's video, a backhanding of that like button would be greatly appreciated. If you find yourself backhanding the like button and you're new to the channel, then backhand the subscribe button, guys. I'm sure you'll find some content on the channel that will certainly appease to your liking. Really excited to see where the channel goes in the coming weeks, guys. We've got some very exciting things in the works behind the scenes, a lot of things that I've been sort of thinking about for a very long time now, and I cannot wait to bring them to the front in the coming weeks, guys. As per always, guys, all my social media links are linked in the description down below. You'll be able to find my Discord, Twitch, and Twitter all down there. And once again, guys, hope to see you in the next video. Peace out, and I'll see you guys all next time. Have a good one, guys.